If you did the previous coding exercise, you saw already an example of a function declaration. A function in JavaScript defines a block of code that performs a specific task. Now, a function executes when our program calls it in a statement or expression. In fact, console.log is a function we've been using over and over again since our introduction to JavaScript. Let's examine how to declare a function now using the JavaScript syntax. First off, we use the function keyword. Then we follow up with the name of our function, and for our first one, let's call it print. Next up, we specify the number of arguments for our function within a pair of parentheses immediately following our function name. And we'll talk about parameters in just a moment. And then following the set of parameters with parentheses, we specify the body of the function with a block of code represented by a pair of curly braces. As a result, the print function should look like this. Great, now let's make this print function actually do something. And let's make it just console.log, a working function. Now, before we see any output, we'll have to invoke the function with a call to it. Let's add that statement, and all we have to do to call the function is specify its name with the parentheses and save. Boom, we see a working function logging data to the console. Now let's think about parameters in terms of functions and what we can do with this empty set of parentheses. Let's add a variable a within the parentheses, and instead of console.logging a working function, let's console.log that a identifier. And then we can pass in a statement to the print function, an argument here. And as we save, we see an argument passing to our print function and then console.logging it. Now, functions can have as many parameters as we desire. For example, let's add a b next to a as well as a c. And then instead of just console.logging a, let's console.log a plus b plus c, which will concatenate all the arguments that we put within here. And then let's print 1, 2, and 3. So we'll say 1 with a space, 2 with another space, and then finally 3. We'll save, and boom, we get 1, 2, 3. Very nice. We have a function with multiple arguments working in our JavaScript program. Now, functions can even be assigned to variables. To illustrate this, let's replace the function keyword with the var keyword. We'll now call our variable print and assign it the function of ABC. And great, we see that it still works and logs 1, 2, 3 to the console. Secondly, let's think about functions that return data. In this case, let's go ahead and delete all of this, declare a new function called multiply. It'll have two parameters, a and b. And this time, this function will return a times b. And now this function won't just console.log data, but it'll actually send back data when you invoke the function. So now we can create another variable called product and set it to the result of calling multiply on two numbers, which will be 5 and 10. And now let's console.log product. As we save, we see 50 in our console, and notice the product was assigned to the returned value of the two numbers we passed in our multiply function. Awesome! We've seen functions with multiple arguments with named identifiers and now ones that return values. Let's move on to uncovering even more within the language of JavaScript.